Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your intrepid host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And as always, I greet you with honor and blessings. Greetings to you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and etc. And all of your relations. That was the ending to that, sort of. So, my little topic for discussion for tonight. I just finished a Facebook video and I realized that I didn't really get my message across. I got hung up on the fact that people who go to Christian churches or other kind of churches have this idea that because they went to church that their obligation for humanity and to God and everything has been fulfilled. And so I went really off on a tangent about how many rich folks versus poor folk and how much our society could change. I'm going to just try to stay off that. I've already said it. There you go. There's my 10 cents worth. So, but what I was trying to get across, and it just didn't get there, was that the folks who have a lot of stuff and who have the wherewithal and the means to help other people, what I was trying to say with that is that they're not listening to their heart. And because if they were really truly a true Christian and Christ-like, as many people are trying, well, I'm a Christian and yeah, but how many poor people are you helping? Well, but I give to the church. Not what I asked. You're giving to $1 million church that requires upkeep. So the money you give to the church goes to the pastor, to the this, to the windows, to the thing, the parking lot. It's not going to the poor people. It's going to the church. So when people say, well, I give to the church, that is supposed to, like, it's okay. I'm a Christian because I went to a Christian church and I gave my tithes like I'm supposed to, but that leaves me off the hook for going to heaven thing. When in reality, the money's not going to anybody but the church. It's not going where it's needed. So and I really, really badly got off on a tangent on that because folks who have means aren't listening with their heart. Oh, they spout this Christian thing and they spout all this other stuff. But if their $200 coat, and it says so in the Bible, that Christ said, if the man needs your coat, give him also your cloak, which is like your overcoat kind of deal. So it's like, go the extra mile, if he needs a coat, but then give him also your cloak if you need it, or his cape or whatever, however you want. So the thing is like, so to a person with a $200 jacket that has $1 million in the bank, if a poor person came up and was freezing to death on the street, would you give your $200 coat to a person you don't know? The answer is probably not. Probably not in so many instances. I've seen it happen. I've seen it, it's like, go get a job, you bum. Well, what if there isn't a job? What if whatever somebody's situation, go get a job, you bum. Okay. So these people are Christian because they support a mega church and they give to the church, not to people. So they're giving with their brain. They're not giving with their heart. Because, well, I gave to the charity, which is supposed to, get them off the hook. Well, we all know we can't take a dime of this mess with us. I mean, I would love to see a spirit ghost trying to take a dime up in their little, etheric little fingers and, I'm taking this dollar bill with me. Ain't happening. So we got that. So when I brought this up in my Facebook thing and I got shut off twice. So it took me 3 times to try to get the point across and I kept messing it up. But I'm going to stick with it this time. The angel messages. People are covering up their angel messages. Well, something. Well, maybe I'll give to the church. But the church isn't helping the poor. The church is helping the church. And I don't care what church it is. You have to keep up the building. You got to pay the taxes. You got to do the thing, So when you donate to the church, you're not donating it to God or to poor people or to feed the hungry. You're giving it to the church to upkeep it. That doesn't leave you or these folks who claim, well, I'm a Christian, go to church, but it doesn't leave. You're not off the hook, folks. Sorry. Because you have to do it from the heart. Well, I give from the heart. I gave $1,000 to the church. Yeah, you gave it to the church, to the pastor who's driving a brand new vehicle, to the wife who's driving a brand new vehicle, to the kids who have 3 meals a day and extras. But the poor folk who donate to your church, if you let them in the back door because they're poor, I've been to those churches too, by the way, that they, I'm sorry, but your clothes are too shabby. You're a bum. You can't come into church. No shit. Wait a minute. Well, this is supposed to be about Christianity. Well, I'm saying that I'm watching, looking to the good side of this. I see people waking up and starting to make comments in Facebook and other places, and I am extremely elated because it seems like these folks are starting to listen with their heart. And through their heart, they are hearing the angel messages. They're getting guidance from the angels, from Creator, from the source. They're not getting it from religion. They're getting it straight from the source. Because some of these people that I'm thinking about that I've just recently today read some posts on Facebook, I was very, very happy and surprised to see that these people who don't really go to church, but they do read the Bible, they don't subscribe to a particular religion other than they're Christian versus, Hindu, Buddha, or Muslim, But at the same point, they give with their heart. If a friend of theirs needs a ride, they go help them. And I see these folks who really, okay, so they make $20,000 or $30,000 a year. Well, around here, that's decent living. It's not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but they're better off than folks who are only making $15,000 a year or less. Folks on part-time jobs like me, with my Social Security, I make $1,000 a month, so $1,200 a year. Oh, wait, 12,000 a year, excuse me. Oh, frickin' whippity-doo, I used to make that times 3, actually almost times 4, because my last job was 40,000 a year. And that's a pittance. But 40 grand to me was like a lot of freaking money because I knew how to spend it and I knew how to be thrifty and still have a good time, still go places, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. So I'm thinking about this, and in my angel messages and things, and I'm looking out there to the rest of the world, and I'm thinking, okay, how many people are getting this? Well, and I'm sorry, I have to bring the rich part up, but I see these rich folks going to the churches, and their suit costs more than I make a month. Really, and I could use a new pair of shoes, but that's beside the point. The thing is that in my complaint is the government cheated me out of what I should have gotten. I should be getting $1,400 a month. I'm only getting $1,000. The government cheated me out of this. The rich people cheated me out of what should have been mine. They cut me $400 a month. Oh, because some excuse, and government passed the law, and now instead of making $1,400 a month, which is still poor as hell, I only make $1,000 a month. So people say, well, but you're getting money from the government. I'm 66, for God's sakes. I'm on retirement. That's what we paid in Social Security for, supposedly. And for them to say, well, I don't know, or, they passed a law that said they would only go back so many years. I started working when I was 13 years old. I had a work permit. I worked at the 99 restaurant 2 blocks from Busch Gardens in Florida. But the money that I put in back then they don't want to count. They don't want to count any of the money that I made back then. They only go back 20 years. Why? Because they stole the rest of that money. They gave it to the other folks who don't deserve it. Okay, I'm on this money kick again. Here's the thing, though. There are so many of us that have paid in that for one reason or another, we're being cheated. The rich guys who make, $100,000 a year bitch and complain because they have to give 5% to Social Security. Well, okay, that's anyway, I can't count. The thing is the person who makes $20,000 a year gets the same percentage taken out of his salary. Now, who can afford it more? The guy who makes $20,000 a year, the guy that makes $100,000 a year. Who can better pay correctly into Social Security? Well, rich people only have to pay up to $250,000 a year. So if you make $1 million a year, you only pay Social Security on the first $250,000. Is that right? Is that fair? But the rich guys control all the rest of the money purses. These guys are all the Christian guys. They're the ones that are supposed to be thinking from their heart. Oh, but I'm going to go to heaven and I'm a philanthropist and I'm doing this. Then pay the correct amount into Social Security. Pay the same amount that I did. Pay the same amount that these other people do. Pay what is the normal. Well, but I made $1 million, and if I pay that's $100,000. So pay your 10%. They don't want to. It's up here. It's mine. Well, but I paid mine in. Yeah, but that's yours, and I'm richer than you, and I'm better than you, and for whatever that makes. We've been through this before, and I'm not going to harp any more on it. But to say this, these folks are not hearing the angel messages. They're not being guided by the angels, by source, by creator, or by Jesus. And I've been watching a couple of folks that I pay attention to, and they make these comments, and I know they've got some bucks in their pockets. And they want to bitch about us poor folk. And because of circumstances way beyond my control, I mean, yeah, I'm making $40,000 a year, but I didn't plan on the company going to Mexico because of NAFTA. I mean, I didn't expect 800 people to lose their jobs. Been through that, said that. Okay. To the point, though, so I got people bitching at me. Well, you should have planned more. I did. I didn't know the government was going to steal $400 a month from me for the rest of my flipping life. Oh, well, you should have had better insurance. I can't afford it. I'm saving money that I don't have so I can pay my taxes so that I don't have to pay a penalty. It doesn't cost them anything if the taxes are late, but boy, do they put the surcharge on there. I found out again that 20% of the taxes that I pay, which is close to $300, goes to the city of Moultrie to pay for the recreation department. Most of us in the county never use the recreation department in the city limits. But we in the county, a lot of us are poor folk on limited incomes, have to pay a substantial amount of our property taxes to go to the city of Moultrie, not the Colquitt County, to pay for the recreation department, to pay for the privilege for it to be there. Now, my point is this. There are a crap load of rich people in Moultrie. They could make up that percentage and it would never touch their pocket, but they'd never know it. And the other thing is they could write it off their taxes as a donation to the recreational department, to the city of Moultrie, whatever. Nope. They got to charge us poor folk out here in the country. And these people are Christians. They can afford it. Nope. They got to spread the burden out. That's what they say. I've been to their meetings. We have to spread the burden out. Well, wait a minute. In my neighborhood, there are 20 people that I can kind of count off the top of my head that have no children at home. Those children are grown up, and those children live in the city. So they're already paying the tax. So this guy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 20 people within a half a mile radius who are on Social Security in my neighborhood. But there's not many houses. We all own a small piece of property. But the thing is, we're all on Social Security. None of us have children that live with us. None of us have grandchildren that live with us. They are either moved away or live in the city or another part of the county. But to the point, then how come these 20 old folks out here have to give 20% of their taxes, property tax, I might add, to the city recreation department? They're not listening to the angel messages. It's supposed to be when you get 65, your taxes are supposed to go down. You apply for this, nope. They slapped another 20% onto us poor folk out here to pay for this city's recreation department. Is that coming from the heart? And there are some rich Christians in Moultrie and Colquitt County. They could make this up easily. Why do we have to pay it? I'm on the money thing again, ain't I? Tired subject. They have the means and refuse to do it because, oh my God, if I gave 1% of $1 million, that's $100,000 or, whatever. They come up with this, oh, that's too much money. Yeah, but it's only a portion of your salary. What about the portion of $20,000? It's so out of proportion. I'm still pissed about it. But to the angel message part, I continue to pray. May the Creator reach his benevolent hand down out of the sky or whatever and touch these folks and open up their heart, because they have been finagled, shenaniganed into it, however you want to. It's a shyster. They speak about the Christ consciousness and ain't got a clue. Would you give up a $50 jacket to someone who's cold? Would you give up a $20 jacket to someone who's homeless or cold or wet on the street? I have. Never thought twice about it. Well, crap, I got something else at the house. I brought people into my house that were homeless, stole me blind, but I was proud that they had a place to stay during that hard time. Now, did they leave here and have another hard time? Not my worry. I was told at the time to help these people. Now, they chose to take advantage of a poor person, steal me what little I have anyway, and put me on the rocks some more. What a shame. Do those people deserve it? Because they had so little and they were leaving whatever situation, they had to take something with them because they didn't know when they were going to get anything else again. Can I blame them for stealing? Yeah, I can get pissed off. But when I look at, they were poor. They had no job. They had no income. They didn't know where they were going to get their next meal. And they tried. These folks tried. They tried. They were always trying to look for work. They were doing things on the side. They went to yard sale. I mean, they did all kinds of things. And they were poor. But they had their van and they got their insurance up. They had certain things. They gave from their heart. Now, at the same time, things got so bad several years ago that they ended up stealing from me as well, which is just absolutely a shame, because it's like I gave and gave and gave until it hurt. I mean, I fed them before I'd feed me, kind of thing. Well, no, y'all go ahead. Because I understand I don't require much to eat. So I would always make sure that they went and got their food first, even though I paid for it. Didn't matter. That's the kind of person I am. Now, can I expect everybody to be like me? No. Well, I could pray that folks will open up their hearts more. Do I mean that they should open up their house to homeless people? Maybe. I know people have 3 or 4 rental houses and all they do is bitch about not having enough money. And they got $1 million in the bank. They got 5 pieces of property that are well over $50,000 a piece on these properties. And they bitch about not having enough money. They bitch about, $500 rent. Well, everybody else is getting $500 a month rent, but these people are poor. The $500 a month is like half of their salaries combined. They got to eat. They got to have a car. They got to pay insurance. But you're bitching because they should pay what you demand. And so all these renters get together and go, well, I'm not making enough money off this property. They're not thinking about humanitarian. And how do I know this? It's because I used to paint houses and do the fix-up work. When people moved out of a house, I moved in for a couple of days, refurbished the inside, gave it a fresh coat of paint, clean, mopped, whatever we needed to do, fix a door or window, blah, blah, blah. And then they rented the house back out. And that was my part-time job. And I worked for several different realty companies. So I know about this, okay? I've had firsthand experience with the realtors who are, crap load of money driving caddies and to the poor people who are literally scrounging up a dime to pay their damn rent. And the people who have the money throw them out on the street. That, I don't care if they got laid off from work, they didn't pay the rent. Well, wait a minute. They got laid off from work. They didn't quit. They didn't get fired. They got laid off. The people decided they didn't want them anymore. It wasn't their choice that they lost. Well, they should be able to get another job. Well, yeah, but there's 2 weeks before you get paid, and there's blah, 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 blah. Well, they should have planned on that. How are you going to plan on it when you make 15 grand a year? I mean, people aren't thinking from the heart, but these are Christian folk. These are the people who go to these big churches. I've paid my tithe. You gave it to the church. I'm off the hook with Jesus. Jesus is in my heart because I gave to the $1 million church in town. Who needs that $1 million to keep the church running because it's such a behemoth of monstrosity. They're not listening to the angels. And that's one of the things that the angels have been talking about. Mother Mary sent this down to me several times, and she said, Dave, we got to pray for these folk. Not that they give up everything they have, but they have the means. And all of these folks that have the means, if they all got together in any way, shape, or form, what they could do to uplift the entire society up a notch and take away burdens and pain. And like me, I've been trying to borrow money to get these rotten teeth pulled out of my mouth because dentists are a fortune. And no, Medicare don't cover it at all, which is wrong. But to the point, though, I have well-to-do friends who won't even lend me the money to get my teeth pulled. I didn't say get new teeth. I just said get them pulled. I want my face to quit swelling up with pus. They don't care. Well, you should have thought of that. You should have planned better. Okay, fine. These Christians who waste more on a weekend of just stupid frivolity of getting drunk and going to a club and this, that, and the other thing could pull 2 of these teeth at $200 a pop. Their trips to the here and the there. Well, I didn't go last month. Well, you went twice the month before and 3 times the month before that. And each time it cost you $200-300 a trip. But I want to borrow $150 to have this tooth pulled. You can't afford it because it would cut into your time at the beach. I'll pay you back $50 a month. I'll pay you back. Sorry, no takers. But they go to the big church. They give to the church, but they refuse to give to anybody, even people that they know, even their own relatives. They don't give. I mean, I know folks who have literally abandoned their parents in a way like me. But in that, I'm making a lot of money now. I have my own business, and well, quite frankly, you embarrass me. So I'm not even going to acknowledge that your teeth are rotted and you're asking for help. I'm simply going to ignore you, and well, that's your fault. Yeah. Too many of them here around where I live. Well, in this area of Georgia. And it's a shame. And it wouldn't, I mean, there are people who are honestly like, I will borrow the money and pay you back. Sorry. Well, you got plenty of money in the bank. That's my money. It's not yours. Why should I share it with you? Why should I help you? Well, but aren't you a Christian? Well, I give to the church, so I'm off the hook. Oh, holy crap. They're not listening to the angels. They're not listening. Or what they're hearing is through the religions, through these churches, and that, well, how many of them are actually preaching, help your fellow man? They're preaching the Old Testament. It's the Old Testament. How many people are actually talking about Jesus, what the Christ did when he was here? What the angels, what his Father said, his Father in heaven. We do these blah, you know. How many people are hearing the angel messages? There are a lot more folks who are paying attention. But some of them, and I got to say, and I'm going to start using this more, somebody's got to be a grown-up in the room. And what I mean by that, there are some folks who, and none particular, all right? And I know there are folks who listen to this channel, and I'm not judging anyone, but there are folks who are on a one-track mind, and I talk about this, who are on a one-track mind, but they're listening to, you know, the angel messages. And I got to say that when I listen to them, and I keep an open mind, and I listen, and I'm paying attention, and I'm like, okay, show me something, give me some information here, go ahead. Hour and a half later, and some folks could say the same thing about me, that I just jabber on and don't cover any particular topics. Okay, I would agree that I get a little ranty at times. And I thank you all for tuning in. And I really do. But when I see some of these other folks and they're talking about that they have they're listening to the angel messages or with this, but they're still on a single track. It's still only about empathy, or it's still only about this. And it's like, but hang on, wait a minute. There are a lot of other of us out here who are listening to the same quantum radio, to the same announcements in the cosmos. And we're picking up more than just this little narrow-minded thing over here. Now, that little narrow-minded thing is important, but it's still being narrow-minded. And people are there. What has been shown to me, this is a download from up yonder, or around yonder, we'll say, that people are because they've got a part of the Christ consciousness, they figure they got it all. Well, but I do this, and this is with my heart. Good. No complaints. But is that the only thing you do? I don't know. But like I say, now some people are like, okay, if you're a plumber, then you're not an electrician. And if you're an electrician, you don't know how to flush a commode. Just say it. I've been a handyman, so I could flush a commode and get electrocuted at the same time. Just say it. But here's my thing. What the angel message and the Mother Mary message to me is, people are thinking that it's from their heart when it's actually come through the brain first. It's being filtered by the brain. And then it goes to the heart. The heart's like, it's getting the leftovers. And it's like, there are a lot of people who are guilty of this simply because they got to think about it first. That's good. Just don't go jump off the wagon here and land in the mud. Well, look where you're jumping from, But at the same time, it's like, and I have nobody in particular in this. All right. I'm just in general speaking and watching the population and keeping an eye on chatters and chat rooms and things, and just keeping an eye out. And I've noticed that, I've talked about this, that some folks are just stuck on the red road. They're on the right road. Some of them are stuck. Some of them are just standing there going, I don't know what's going on. That's okay. It's better to be on the road and not know exactly what's going on than to not even know there's a road. And right now, there are people who don't even understand that there is a road to be on. So the angel messages, though, and the guidance, people are filtering it too much through their brains. Well, I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. Okay, if I give 10% of my salary and I make $100,000, that's $10,000. Oh my God, that's too much. I've heard people literally tell me that. Wait a minute. Well, I give 10% of my $20,000. That was $2,000. It's the same amount taken out as yours, hang on here, but who's more important? So these folks, and I know I'm on the money thing again, but it has to do with those who have more than others. They think it through before it ever gets to the heart. They're not thinking with their heart. They're letting it filter through this. And I know people who are my age, so they lived to 70 or 80. I'm 66, so that's only 4 years away. But so, all right, we're pushing it. Am I going to live another 66 years? I somehow doubt it, but anything's possible. But to the point, though, it's like I realize that I can't take all the stuff that I have with me. I don't have any money, but I mean, I got little personal things that I've collected in my 66 years. What didn't get burnt in the house, it burned down. But to the point, I'd gladly give these things away because I understand I cannot take these things with me. So there are people who have plenty of stuff, plenty of opportunities, but they're thinking with their head, not with their heart. Well, I went to church and I gave my tithes to the church, but the church spends all its money on the church. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't help anyone. It just goes to the church itself. So they're trying to get off the hook from the Christ and convince themselves through their brain that their heart is satisfied. Well, I paid my tithe. I did what the church said I should do. And therefore, my obligation is fulfilled. That's what's got to change. We got to start listening to the angels. Now, I know a lot of us do. I know a lot of us are plugged in more than others. Some folks, sometimes it's like here this last week or so, the messages were like, they were kind of obscure, if you will. They were there, but like the last 2 days, I did a video, two videos yesterday, and this is my second. Actually, it's my fourth today. 3 on Facebook every time I got cut off, and now this one. But to the point, though, it's like, we got to think about this. But we got to think about it with our heart. Is the religion sucking off what should literally be going to the poor? That's why Jesus went into the temple and, cussed out the Pharisees, you money changers, you harlots, whoremongers. And that's to the Pharisees. That's the people in the church. And so the church has to be supported. And without church members, the church would fail. But the church isn't Jesus. The church is the church. Jesus and the Christ consciousness is a movement. Maybe it's a bowel movement for some, but it's a movement. It's supposed. Sorry about that. You got the joke though. But anyway, because some people are just for shit. I'm sorry. It is a serious topic. But one of the things that really bothers me is that they use this brain up here to convince them that their heart is satisfied. And it makes me sad. Because I know folks that, they got $300,000-$400,000 sitting in the bank. Now, I'm not saying they should give it all up, but could they give out 100 here and 100 there? Could they give a personal loan to someone who needs, their teeth fixed or something? Yeah. Could some of these middle class upper middle class folks who they're not millionaires, but are very well off and money in the bank. Could they help other people? Yeah, but they give to the church instead. They give with their brain because they've been told so many times, to be a Christian, you must tithe, and to tithe, you must give to the church. But the money don't go to the people. Then money doesn't go for food in many, 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 many instances. That's why I gave up on churches. It's like you got, even the best of churches were the worst because they're not helping anybody that needs it. You know, I walked in there. Look, I'm a poor person. I want to come to your church, but you don't have enough money to tithe here. I'm poor, but I still want to come to church. Yeah, well, you can go to the poor church, the black church, you know, that the primitive Baptist one out in the country, you know, the ones that open their windows on Sundays and they all sitting there going, praise Jesus, hallelujah, you know, and they use the old fans. And I'm not cutting them down, by the way. Those folks have got more spirit of the Lord in them than anybody in any of these mega churches. Go to a poor country church and you will hear the true word of God spoken. You will feel it in your heart. Sing some of them old Negro spirituals. And I love to go to a Negro church. And I don't mean that in disrespect. I mean that with the highest respect. To listen to a good preacher and to sing those songs that, I mean, I got chill bumps thinking about some of those old spirituals and how the harmony in the church and how it feels. You don't get that in these big churches. You just don't. Who's listening to the angels then? We can say, well, the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, poor people they're more willing. Well, these other people go to church. They listen to a pastor. They sit in the pew with their coat and ties and all their, you know, dressery on, but they're thinking with their brain. They're not thinking with the heart. Because if they listen to any excuse me, I got the hiccups. Hang on. Hold that thought. And I see there's some folks over there. I love you all. I love you, love you, love you. Hugs, hugs, hugs from South Georgia. Coffee. If these folks in Christian churches really listened to the word of Jesus, not the Old Testament, not Saul, Paul, but the word of Jesus and just the original Gospels, leave Paul out of this, please. He wasn't there, and a lot of it's just hyperventilated bullshit. But anyway, so if you took what Jesus said, asked people and how they should live by, which is the angel guidance, which is when you listen with your heart and your soul and you connect with the source, you are guided by the angels. You are guided by these spirits. You are guided with your feet, what you should do, how you can help someone out, how you can speak nicer to people, whatever it is, when you open your heart. But these people think, and I'm praying for them, they're thinking that their heart is up here, and they're not. Well, but you know, this money that I earn, and it's mine, and but I'm going to give my percentage. Yeah, but you're not listening to what Jesus said. You can't take it with you. Can you help someone out? Can you do something in your heart of hearts? Can you do something? And I look at some of these people I went to school with, some of these people I've worked with, some of these people are my frickin' relatives, you know, and they won't lend me money to get my teeth pulled. I said, lend me money. I didn't say give me. I said, lend me. And they could. A certain relative just got a brand new car. Oh, well, isn't that nice? And showed it off. $35,000 worth of car. Can I borrow $500 to get my teeth fixed? I'll pay you back. Nope. Sorry. I got to buy a new car. It's more important. It's their money. And they can do with it what they want. Well, they go to church and they give their 10% to the church. They're not helping their relatives out. They're not helping friends out. They're not helping folks. Well, but I already gave. Well, I used to do door-to-door salesman, and somebody said, I'm sorry, I already gave. I gave at the office. And it's like, yeah, but you live in a $2 million house. You think you could give a little more? No, I already gave at the office. Well, yeah, but this person, Bob, sorry, I already gave. But you still have all this stuff and all these means, and you could still help someone and not even, put a dent in your lifestyle. No, but it's mine. And I gave to the church. Don't you get it? I gave my 10% to the church. And I'm saying this new paradigm that's coming in, the 10% needs to go to people, not a building, not an organization. People who donate to churches think that a portion of it, and I got to tell you, most churches that I've been with, and I've been around a lot as a handyman, just knowing what they take in, what their bills are, so forth. And I'm telling you, the percentage that goes out to help anyone is very minimal. So the people of these Christian churches who think with their heart, which ain't even down here, I gave to the church, their obligation's over. I continue to pray that these people will have their hearts opened up. And I mean that with honesty and sincerity and with kindness. And, okay, so it's not that I want you to sell your home, but you have the means to help somehow. Pick up poor person. You can find them in the phone book. But to the point, though, it's like, but their excuse is, I gave to the church. Now, to these folks, I say, please wake up. Please pay attention, because you're not helping the situation of humanity by giving to a church. And I'm sorry, but I don't give a damn what church it is. I mean, even the poor ones, the pastors require money. Very few pastors that I have met in my 66 years have ever turned down money for preaching. I preach all the time and I don't ask for a dime. but to the point, though, I'm not trying to have a church. But, yeah, I understand you got to pay if you're a church, you don't have to pay property tax. So you're exempt. So, okay, so the roof needs to, okay, so you all get together and come up with enough money and fix the roof on the church, or it needs a new window. There are folks around here that still do that. There's a Primitive Baptist church a couple miles down the road. First, they built the walls, a concrete block, and then they put a roof on, and it was just tar paper. And then they got it, and then they did this, and then they put the windows in. They built the church as they got the money between themselves. And it's just a little small church. It's on a little plot of land that somebody donated to them so that they could get together on Sundays and Wednesdays to worship, to have prayer. But they still had to come up with this money. It went for the building. Now, I'm not bitching at them. It was a poor church. People donated. It was their own. But the thing is, it's a modest church. I mean, they put a cross on top. It was a big deal. And then they got enough money to put like a little steeple thing, with a bell in it. It's not really bells. It's electronic. But to the point, it was like their pride and joy. And then a storm came along and tore it down. I thought that was sad. But to the point, those folks I respect. I'll go to their church. Oh, well, yeah, but there's black people in there. So, what? It's a Primitive Baptist. So these people worked together and built this little church so they could come and worship on Sundays together, because other churches wouldn't let them come in. Other churches wanted their money and didn't, they didn't see anything in return. They thought with their hearts. When Mabel got sick, 7 of the church ladies got together, and each one of them came up with a meal for a day, so that when Mabel was sick and couldn't feed her family, she was in bed, there was one of the ladies from the church who brought food for the whole family for one day a week. volunteered the food, volunteered cooking it, volunteered taking it to Mabel until she got better and was on her feet again. Never asked for a dime in return. Because when Mabel got well, Ludabelle got sick and they all went and helped Ludabelle's family. Oh, but those are black folk. It's an old Negro church. They sing them old Negro spirituals. And I'm here to tell you, they got more angel guidance in their hearts than all these other people in these other mega churches that I've ever seen or witnessed. And I've been in them, and I won't go back. And not everybody in them are bad, but to the point, though, they've been sold a bill of goods that you gave to the church. Therefore, you're off the hook. No, you're not. If you have more means to help someone, if you can donate a day or a meal for a family or something once a week, okay, well, how much did that cost? Well, how much is beans and rice and a little bit of pork or something, okay. Not everybody's got to get 2 pork chops, but if everybody got 1 pork chop, or if the pork chops are mixed up in the rice and stuff, and there's a little bit of folks, when they're hungry, don't really bitch about not having 2 pork chops to eat. I know, been there, done that. But to the point, though, people, are they listening to the angels for guidance? They're not. They're listening to the ministers. They're listening to other people in the congregation. They're listening to the church. Oh, the Methodist church believes this. Oh, the Baptist church believes this. There's a Baptist community college. Well, I'm not sure it's still there, but in Norman Park, Georgia. And it's a really nice little community and things and this, and I've had things to do with it, done puppet shows there, did some Christmas caroling and stuff over the years there. So, and I've known people who were teachers there. So, I'm not new to this stuff. When you small communities and you're someone like me who likes to stick his nose into all kinds of stuff, you meet people over the years. Now, I can't remember most of their names, but if I saw them, I remember you when you, okay. Now, with that said, though, here's this Baptist college thing, and these people, when they do a retreat, these people have to pay $1,000 for a weekend to come to this. Like I said, it's nice, it's painted, it's kept up. $1,000 a piece to attend these things. $1,000. It don't cost $1,000 a person. There ain't no way. They could get by with $250. What do they do with the extra money? It goes to the church. It doesn't go to help the poor family directly across the street to fix the roof that's leaking into their house, or to help grandma who's living in a back bedroom and has limited mobility. Can't walk down the steps. They put together this plywood ramp for her. When there's literally across the street, there are these multi-million-dollar structures who are praising Jesus, and the house across the street from them, the people can't even pay their light bill. Oh, where's the justice in that? I ask. Who walked across the street? Is any frickin' one of them people a true Christian? I ask myself. Walk across the street. You don't have to go to Africa. Walk across the street. There are more poor people down the street and on the next block over from the same campus. Does any of that money go to help anybody in that community? Nope. Poor folks, ramshackle, dung-soaked monstrosities. They're old nigger houses, okay, from back in the slave days. And white people are living in them because they can't afford anything else. Okay, so I pissed somebody off. I called them nigger shacks. That's what those white people at the Baptist church call them. Well, that's a nigger shack over there. That's just, I used to work for these people. I used to listen to them. I'd go sit with the black folk on their porch. I would never sit on the porch of these asshole Baptists at this particular place. But they're all righteous. And they preach that they have the word of God on their behalf. They have the word of God, and the angels are speaking to the congregation. Give your money so we can pay for another $1,000 retreat at this place in South Georgia with poor folk living all around the place. You know what I'm saying? Some of the places here in South Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, it's not just here, but we're a third world country, for God's sakes. People, their toilet gets stopped up. They can't fix it. Or yet it's an old house and the septic tank is clogged. And they're peeing and pooping in a bucket and dumping it out back. We have that now. Because the renters, I'm letting you buy because I'm only charging you $450 a month for that old piece of shit house. Well, they don't say, well, look at where you're going to get another better deal. And the people can't afford it. They can't afford it. 2 months rent, one up front and one deposit, all this crap for a lousy old piece of, as they call them, nigger shacks. And that's what they call them. They're nigger shacks because of all the plantations around here down in the South. Some of these houses still stand. White people, Mexicans don't complain. They'll pay, but there's 50 people in the house. Oh my God, it's crazy. But the Mexicans that I've spoke to, it was worse in Mexico. They think that the house with a roof that only leaks once in a while is like a good deal because they're living down there and there's no inside ceiling, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But the people who are in charge of all this are the righteous Christians who are telling each other and themselves, and they try to tell me and you, they have the word of God. They are living in the Christ consciousness. They have the angels on their side. And I just have to ask, you do mean the dark angels, right? What? Well, wait a minute. There's a rundown house across the street from your multi-million-dollar complex. You don't see the irony in this? You're charging $1,000 a person to come to this event on the weekends, and they have them like all the time because that's what this thing is, or it used to be anyway. Haven't been up there in a while, so I can't. But it used to be this way. Every weekend there was another group of Baptists coming in. And the reason I know this because I did puppet shows, I did painting, I did, fixing up. And these people wouldn't give a flipping dime to the poor folk across the street from their multi-million-dollar complex. Not a dime. Do you think that they would volunteer just to go over and help fix it up or something? Nope. But they stand on the street and they'll go by in their car with the window rolled down and point the finger and say, "You stupid niggers, you're too lazy to get a job. You're nothing but worthless." Yeah. And then roll their Cadillac window up or Bentley or, BMW or whatever. And then they go back to their multi-million-dollar facility and say that the angels and God's on their side. And I just have to, I have to keep asking, which God are you talking about? Because it can't be Jesus. Well, yeah, it is. No. Hang on here. Which Bible do you read? King James. Okay. Well, it's in the King James Version. I got a King James, two of them right over there. I open it up and look at it and say, okay, I read this in here. Jesus said, da, 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 da. What about, well, that's what Jesus did back then. This is the 20th century. This is 2018. Yeah, but Jesus said, but you still call yourself a Christian? Oh, yeah. I read Isaiah and I read the Old Testament. Hang on. Let's catch up here. Christians, pay attention. Jesus died for our sins. So why are you trying to baptize me over again? Why every time you say, well, you committed a sin, you must be rebaptized. Wait, hang on. Now already you're blaspheming. You're in the point of being a blasphemer. Jesus died for our sins, but we got to baptize you because you were born with original sin. Hang on. That's a lie right out of the gate. So I got to be baptized. So Jesus then must not have died for all of our sins. He only picked a few out, or he only died for them back there. Well, if you read the Testament, the New Testament, if you read what Jesus said, he died for all of us. Pay attention, Christians. Oh, well, yeah, okay, but, well, do you have more than you need? Well, sure, but it's fine. Well, what about people who don't have? Well, they're just lazy bums. But don't you have more than you need? What does that matter? Christian, Do you have more than you need? Well, I don't know. I'm going to need that $1 million. I still want to go to France for the summer next year. Oh, so you're going to let poor people starve, live in a sure enough ramshackle, dung-soaked monstrosity. Look it up. It's like really pitiful. Holes in the wall that you see the sky outside, windows that are cracked, broken, no screens on the windows, no air conditioner, only got one fan in the house. And these people are like, oh, yeah, well, that's their fault. They're poor. They're lazy. No, they work for you. And you would only pay the minimum wage. And then by the time they got to retirement, like me, the government took $400 a month away from them, away from me and a lot of the rest of us. So we became even poorer than we were because rich people don't want to pay the same percentage as the rest of us. I got back to the rich people. But these folks are Christians. Now, if I wanted to call myself a Christian, which I don't, I am of Christ consciousness, but I'm nowhere near a Christian because I don't believe what Christians believe. I believe in what Jesus said. I don't believe in the Old Testament. Phooey on it. I don't believe in most of the stuff that Paul says. Ain't there. What I do believe in is the word of Jesus Christ himself, the Christ. How many people are listening to the angels? How many people are being guided by a higher priority? How many people, there's so many folks I know that, and they started out poor like me. They got greedy, and I just couldn't go there. And the other thing is I lost a really good job and couldn't get another one back. So I was like, not, I was still down here compared to most of the folks around me who were making $75,000 to $150,000 a year. Little old Dave's only making 40. I'm tickled to death because I had all I needed and I could still give to other people. And it didn't hurt me. These folks, though, with the money came greed. And they still go to church. They still maintain that they are of the Christ consciousness. And I just got to warn everybody and say, please don't be deceived by the religion part of this. Because if you were of the Christ consciousness, you wouldn't have to read the Old Testament. You wouldn't have to read some of these other things. And you reading Jesus and the original Gospels is totally different. And what you might see and understand. Now, I got to say, there are some books in the Old Testament. There's some really neat stuff in there. The Psalms, for example, and something. There's some really good stuff in there. But people are trying to say that the Old Testament, that's older than the New Testament, which is 2,000 years old, that we're supposed to believe everything there. And it's like, let's bring this to the future. Let's put it very succinctly and bluntly. How many Christians are truly in the Christ consciousness? Don't fool yourselves. Don't say, well, I belong to a church. How many Christians are of the Christ consciousness? Now, this ain't for me to answer. This is a rhetorical question. But when I look out there and see, I think to myself, these people think they're saved. Well, I gave to the church. Yeah, but it's a multi-million-dollar church. They need your money so they can keep the lights on in the damn thing. When was the last time you went to an old church out in the country, one of them old wooden ones that have a pump organ that's out of key and people are singing mostly off key? When was the last time you really went to a sure enough, and I don't mean a traveling preacher or, but to the point though, when was the last time you went and felt that communion with other people that had the like-minded Christ consciousness? And folks that go to these big churches, they go in, kneel down, say their prayers, sing their hymn, and walk out. Paid my dues, paid my 10%, where I tithed, okay, going home, and they forget about it. Everything else, what I gave to the church. This new era that we're going into ain't nothing like that. If you're going to be conceited in your own stuff, now conceited in that it's mine and nobody gets it but me, that just ain't going to last, because that is not this new 4D, 5D dimension we're going into. If you're going to hoard and keep it, if you're going to make excuses not to help someone or not to loan or help or give or whatever it is, if you're going to make excuses up, you ain't got Christ consciousness in your heart. You might have it in your brain. That's not the same thing. For guidance, we should all listen to the angels. I know folks who have like, well, yeah, I could have helped that person, but he was a bum. Yeah, but you didn't stop to ask, why did he become a bum? He lost a good paying job. He lost his house. His wife divorced him. His kids ran away, and he didn't have anything. Couldn't get another job. He lost it all. Now he's a bum. But because he's a bum, and that's what you see now, that means that this poor person is worthless and no good, and therefore you can pass judgment on this person because you don't know him, because you just see him for a brief second. Jesus said, you will never know me. I could be a bum on the street. You will never know who and where I am. So when you give, you don't know if I'm the Christ sitting there. And what he meant was, in that, and I can't remember the exact words of the parable, but he was saying, I am in everyone. So anyone that you meet, Christ is there. God is there. Creator is there. Each one of us has this in us. So if you walk by another person, you're walking by Jesus. You're walking by the Christ. So he's a bum. So he's homeless. So he's got leprosy. Jesus went and cured the lepers. He healed the lepers. He lived with them to bring them solace in their time of need. How many Christians would go live with the lepers? I mean, seriously. How many of them would give up a $200 coat or a pair of shoes to give it to a homeless person? Oh, he's a bum. Without judgment. That's my point. They give with their heart, but their heart's up here. They have to funnel the angel message. Well, you should help this individual. And then instead of it going straight to the heart and the person going, yeah, I should. I got the means. I'm in a freaking Cadillac. Here's $20. That's 3 drinks at the local bar. Come on. No. It comes to them, and then they filter it through their brain. Well, he's a bum because, and he's sitting there homeless, and I got more money, and he's a piece of trash. And that message from the angels never gets to the heart. It gets stopped somewhere in between. The angel messages are out there right now, so proud, so positive, so strong, but people are letting it go through their heads first. They put their heart in their brain. They have to somehow verify or put it right in their minds. Well, if I give this homeless person, well, they're only going to go get drunk. How do you know? You're making judgment. What if that's Jesus Christ sitting there? So he's got an empty bottle. Maybe that's a prop. Maybe he's going to put spare change into it. Maybe he puts water in it. We don't know. But you're going to be all uppity and say, you know what? He's a bum. He doesn't deserve anything extra that I might have. There's going to be a lot of people in the shallow end of the pool. Going to be a lot of people in the kiddie section. And some of these folks are going to be there for a while, because in this transition, they don't get this. They have to think about it before it goes to their heart. Now, there are times I've invited people into my house because they were homeless and it was cold and rainy and 20 degrees outside. And I'd be a frickin' moron to not invite them in and try to keep them warm. But these same people left my door open, burned all my firewood, stole cash from me, and then raided my refrigerator. Did I let them back in? No. I let them stay for 2 weeks, which was like a week too long, but that's not the point. I couldn't be stoled anymore. I couldn't have them burn all of my winter's firewood that I had set up because they were cold one night. And then they wouldn't help me gather any firewood. I mean, to the point, it's like, wait a minute. But they were Christian people. They had their Bible and read to me. Oh, well, and Jesus spoke to me and said, and he spoke to you and said that I give you a free place to live, not asking for anything except wash the dishes for me. That's payment. Wash the dishes. Just clean up my kitchen. I'm not asking you to clean just wash the dishes that you dirtied, by the way. Please? Well, no, it's your house. Why should I clean up the dishes? Because you made the mess. Well, yeah, but I'm not your freaking nursemaid. I don't have to stay here if I don't want to. Well, then leave. Well, where am I going to go? Well, why don't you just do the dishes? Do a kind act. Now, these are homeless people. So they come in all sizes. It's not just the rich. But they have to process it through the brain first. Well, wait a minute. If I do this act of kindness, well, it's not really my house. No, but you stayed here. You were out of the weather. You were warm. You had food. You had drink. Which you didn't have. You were fixing to steal something at the store. I caught you before you stuffed it in your jacket pocket. I kept you from getting arrested. Well, maybe that was the best thing for them. But to the point, though, it's like they come in all shapes and sizes. But to the point, this particular person I'm speaking about, her and her husband both had $40,000 a year jobs. They both worked. They had kids. They had a house. They had it all. And then the place where they both worked at the same place, different departments, different areas. He was a mechanic. She was something else. But to the point, when the business closed, they both lost their jobs. They lost their home they'd been paying for 15 years. The kids got taken away. And so they're homeless now and divorced. So, it's like they didn't plan on this. It wasn't their lot in life. They didn't make the choice to be homeless. It was circumstances. So there are a lot of us who are victims of circumstance because people who have more money than us move the business out. We don't need them. Yeah, we'll send it to Mexico. We'll do this. We'll lay you off. It's not a big deal. You'll find other work, Dave. I've been laid off so many times. Folks say, you'll find another job. Well, you're good. You're a jack of all trades, Dave. But there aren't any jobs out there. There are 500 jacks of all trades looking for just a little bit of something to do. Just to, buy gas to get to town. They don't even have money to buy food. That was my case for a long time. I've had a really bad section when I had my neck operated on 1 year. Nobody would hire me. I had a neck brace on. I couldn't do anything. Too young to get Social Security or anything. It was horrible. Damn near starved. I would literally go behind the local stores and get food out of the garbage. That's how I survived. Period. Wipe the dirt off. Who gives a crap? Look, I'm hungry. Squash, so it's got a hole in it, or it's brown on one side. You cut that part off and you eat it anyway. Now they lock the dumpsters. Now you will be arrested if you are caught going through the produce that's been thrown in the garbage cans behind the stores now. You will be arrested if you're homeless and hungry. Well, I wasn't homeless, but I was hungry. You will be arrested if you pick out garbage from the garbage to eat. It's against the law. But these are all Christian people, by the way, who are making these rules. There are all these Christian folks who have the word of God in them, who are speaking to the angels on a daily basis, or so they claim. And to them, I just shake my head and say, you're going to be in the kiddie pool for a long time. You got a lot of stuff you're going to have to learn and understand. It's not this heart. It's this one. It's your soul's heart. It's your heart's soul. Listen to the word of Jesus himself. Not the Old Testament, not Paul or somebody else's opinion. No, listen and read what Jesus said. Be compassionate, be kind, feed the hungry, feed those that are less fortunate. We don't know why they're less fortunate. It's not up to us to make why you're homeless, why you're a bum, why you got this way. We don't know the circumstances. That could be Jesus sitting on the corner with a tin cup saying, help me. And who will stop and give? Because we don't care. We don't think from the heart. We think our heart's up here. We think that all these other things are paying our dues. Many people, I mean, I look around and I'm thinking, oh my God, please stop it. Please stop with the blasphemy. Please stop saying that you have Jesus in your heart when you won't give to these folk. Well, I have Jesus in my heart, but that bum over there doesn't deserve anything extra that I might have. Look at that bum around back trying to get something out of the garbage. He's freaking starving to death. He lives in a cardboard box, but you condemned him because you don't know what his circumstances are. I was this close to losing my house. I would have been homeless. And I'd be on the street. I wouldn't have this computer. I would have lost my home. 40 years of paying for the place. I almost lost my property in my home. Did any of the rich people care? No. Oh, your back tax is going to sell your place and throw you to off. Go live in a tent somewhere. You're a bum. I didn't used to be a bum. I used to be an engineer at a tier 1 company. I used to travel around in jet airplanes. I used to rub elbows with the bigwigs at Ford and Chrysler and Nissan on occasion, but to the point. But you called me a bum because you see my long hippie hair now and my teeth are rotted and I can't afford to fix. Nobody will lend me money or help me out. You know, I said lend. But I'm a bum. They see me, long hair, scraggly thing, haven't shaved in a couple of days. So big deal. I'm living by myself. Who cares if I shave every day? I do it because I want to. I want to look presentable for the camera. Okay, I haven't shaved a couple of days. I shaved up here and anyway. But to the point, though, it's like, yeah, I wore the tie. I was the guy. I was the engineer, the pocket protector, the whole 9 yards. But if you saw me now, and if I was sitting on the corner and had a cup, you would swear that I was some bum that dropped out of society and didn't give a shit about anybody or anything. That's what would be the determination. No one would know my story. So when I look at other people, I don't look at them in their current situation. I look at their current situation and I ask this question. How in the hell did you get here? Can I help you in your present situation? That's what I say. As poor as I am, I still give guys change. Somebody, they've come up to me. Why they pick on me, I don't know. Maybe they just see my soul. Dude, man, I need $5 worth of gas. Can you loan me? Can you buy me $5 worth of gas? They don't want the money. They want the gas to get home or to do whatever. Or, and it's like, yeah, I'll help you out. I'm poor as a church mouse. I got to dig under my seat for a bag of change and come up with, dude, I only got $3. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, have you got 50 cents for me to buy a soda? Well, no, that's okay. Then there are those that say, what, $3 is all you got? Well, yeah, but that's all the change in the bag. It's all my reserves. You don't understand. That's it. This is my backup money. I'm poor. There's no money in bank. This is my backup money. $4 worth of change in a plastic bag under my seat. And I'm willing to give it to you. And then you want to say, well, but you don't have, come on, you got to have more than that. What about, come on, give me enough money for a pack of cigarettes. Well, hang on. You said you needed $5 for gas. Now you want money for cigarettes, which is another $5. And then you want, So there are the people who require assistance. And honestly, please, I need just a couple bucks of cash to get home, or I need this. Then there are the people that are like, well, what I'm sure you're hiding from me. Wait a minute. No, I just gave you the last of my change. Will you accept it? No. You got to have more than that. And then they'll go to somebody else. Hey, buddy, he didn't have enough. I need $10. Now I need $20. Now I need this and that. Oh. So it's not about what you need. It's about what you want. Is anybody listening to the angels only through their head? And the heart messages are getting filtered by the brain, and it's not getting to the heart. So I'm praying for everybody. We have to understand what society says is okay. Is it being filtered too much from the brain, and it's not really coming from the heart? Or are there other circumstances? I can't answer that for you. I can pick out a lot of people that I know and, are still in this paradigm. And they honestly think that their souls are saved. And I'm thinking to myself, Lord have mercy, I can't place judgment on you, but are you going to be flipping surprised when you get to the kiddie pool and you got to stay there for a while? Just say. So I want to send out love to y'all. Have a safe and happy weekend. Be careful out there, everybody. I know that a lot of things that I say, I'm the grown-up in the room, okay? I gotta say stuff to people that is probably going to piss them off. But we have to be more aware of this awareness. Are you really listening to the angels? Or are you filtering that guidance through your brain, and only a tiny portion of it's actually coming from your heart? Is it coming from the heart, in the heart, to the heart, with the heart? I've had that discussion before. But to the bottom line, are you filtering too much? I can't answer that, but you should. And the people around you. And I've asked in my Facebook page, I've asked very kindly, if you know somebody that's in this weavy area that thinks that, because they gave to the church, that they're off the hook and that they are Christ-like when they ain't even got a clue, simply ask them, do you read the Bible? Yeah. Have you read, I don't know, pick a book, open up it to Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, or, Peter, Paul, and Mary, open it up and say, Jesus said this. What do you think about that? Well, yeah, that was pretty cool in Jesus' time. Well, what about you? Do you have enough to provide? I'm just asking. You tell me you're a Christian, and okay, who am I to judge that you're not? But here's this passage in the Bible. What do you think about this passage? What do you think about helping the poor? Well, I gave to the church. Yeah, but did you give to the poor? I mean, I'm saying if you know an acquaintance or a friend or family member, whatever, and it's not that you beat them up with this, but let them tell you how Christ-like they are. But say, well, what about this passage in the Bible? You say you're a Christian. What about this? It's not meant for me to judge, but God's going to ask you this question when you get there. When you get out there, he's going to say, well, you died with $300,000 in the bank and a $500,000 home and 2 cars and everything was paid for. You had a lot of income, but you didn't give any money to your brothers and sisters who really could have used some of it, even loaned it to them. You had plenty of money. Could you have fed a family? Could you have, well, yeah, but it was mine, God. Okay, St. Peter, you're up. St. Peter's talking to the rich guy. St. Peter says, what about your Bentley? What about it? Well, I paid my mechanic well. I paid the dealership well. Well, what about the poor guy sitting out on the street corner where you bought your car? Well, yeah, but he was just a pissant and he was a bum. You just spent $50,000 on a new BMW and you gave the, $100 thing and you did this and then you did that. But the bum on the street corner isn't worth a dime. And you want into heaven. What heaven are you applying for? Okay, my name is St. Peter, and you're applying to get into heaven. Here's your form. Kiddie pool, That's what's going to happen. Are they condemned to hell? I'm not saying that a bit. What I'm saying is, in order for them folks to move into the fourth dimension or beyond, they got a lot of splaining to do, Lucy. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of lessons they're going to have to pick up on. That's what I'm saying. Are they condemned? Yeah, they're condemned to the kiddie pool until they can learn how to grow up and be the adult in the room. Look, I've got plenty. I've got more than I need. Can I help you? How can I help you? Whether I agree with it or not. It's not my choice. It's not my brain that says, well, I don't know, if I give you this $20, you're going to spend it on booze. Who cares? You got $20. Is it going to bother you? No. Then why are you trying to make that? You're thinking with your brain. Think with your heart. Give it to them without question. Send a prayer with the money that you give the bum. I hope you'll buy food with this. I hope this helps you with your day. Maybe being drunk is the only way they can make it through the day. It might be. And it might be that a cheap bottle of Ripple or MD 2020 is what they need, because maybe they can't get meds. Maybe their life sucks so bad it's the only way to get through it because they have lost all hope. So you say, condemn the man that's already condemned? Why not take your socialistic, better than thou attitude and say, doesn't matter, but I'm going to give this money to this bum over here. I'm giving it with love from my heart without thinking about it, regardless of what he does with this. But I'm going to send a prayer with this money that he uses it not to get drunk, what can you do with $20? It's really wise in this day and age. So when you're a bum on the street, $20 is like that. I went to the store the other day and bought a couple of bags of groceries. It was $100. And I didn't even get what I wanted. Of course, now I bought a couple of new batteries and all right. But to the point, though, it was like I didn't have much. It was $100. And I shop frugally. So, $20 is nothing, especially to a person on the street, but everything to someone who has nothing. We need to stop judging people. I know I've been judging the rich folk through this whole thing, right? But it's that they think that they're doing correctly. They have convinced themselves with society that they are giving from their heart when they're giving from here. They think they're doing right. And there are a lot of folks who are, well, maybe I could do more. No, it's mine. The greed sets in. So I'm going to close this. And I'm going to say, iStation, Patrick, John, Marie. Hi, Marie. How are you? Blessings to you all. God, I've been picking on rich people. But it ain't just rich people. It's not. It's people who have the means to help another and refuse to do so. Yeah, I pick on rich people because they have a lot more than the rest of us do. I wish people, the rich folks would simply pay what they owe to Social Security. I would get a raise. I would get what I was supposed to have gotten. It's not that I paid into the system for 50 years. Well, more than 50 years. 53 years I paid into Social Security. And they cut my salary by $400 because George Bush needed it for the war. And they're all Christians. And they're all rich. And I'm a poor son of a bitch that got, the bad news. I'm the bad news bearer. I'm the one that got the unlucky number. With a lot of other people, mind you. So I'm complaining, but I'm complaining for other people. I've already stated, I don't have much money yet. But you know what? Happiness is as happiness does, all right? And I can make myself happy by going out in the yard and staring at the sky if there aren't any chemtrails. That'll piss you off in a heartbeat. But, there are things to make me happy that doesn't require money. Now, I can drive to the river, but I need new tires. Okay, that pisses me off. Can't go to the river because I need a new front end on my truck. Okay, that It's getting a little dangerous here when the wheels are going like this and you're trying to get to the store. But, oh, okay, I'm still alive, And one of these days I'll fix it. But to the other people that they're not happy in their situation, they can't make ends meet, they can't find happiness in small things because society has trained them otherwise. And with these people, I feel heartsick because it was not their intention to end up poor on Social Security at $1,000 or less a month. We got the shaft. And the rich people did it to us because they're not paying their fair share. That's the truth, period. They pay less than the rest of us, all right? If you make less than $250,000 a year, you're going to pay full amount. If you make $500,000 a year, you only have to pay taxes on Social Security only on the first $250,000. Wait a minute, hang on. Nobody said I only had to pay Social Security in on only half of my salary. I've been through this, but the thing is, that's cheating. These are people who can't afford it. And all the people on Social Security across this great nation are suffering because of greed, because these people won't pay their fair share. But they're Christians, and they go to church, and they pay their tithe, and they read their Bible, and they ain't got a clue because they don't understand what the Christ consciousness means. They don't. And you can ask them, pick a phrase out of the Bible. Well, yeah, what does that mean to you, Mr. Smith? Well, it means that, poor person needs help. Well, I give to my church. That's not what I asked you, Mr. Smith. I asked you, Mr. Smith, if you helped a poor person out. No, I gave to the church. Aha. You gave to the church. And you expected the church to do that on your behalf. I see. You can put the blame on the church when you get to St. Peter. St. Peter says, okay, Mr. Smith, I got your application here. You want to get into heaven. Is that correct? All right. Now, it says here that you earned $100,000 a year for 40 years. Yes, sir, that's true. So at $100,000, and you bought a home, yeah. You had 2 cars, yeah. You had 2 kids, yeah. I had a dog, a pet, and a parakeet, and yep. And okay. How many poor people did you help during all that time? Well, I gave to my church on Sunday. St. Peter's going to look at and say, Mr. Smith, it says here on your application, the church doesn't apply. You can give to the church all day long, but the church is a church. How many poor people on your application here, how many poor people did you help, Mr. Smith? What? You thought the church was going to do it for you? Oh, well, Mr. Smith, on your application here, you're supposed to come into heaven. You're supposed to help those downtrodden. You're supposed to help those who are sick and are poor and who can't fend for themselves. But you gave to the church. Did you help any of these poor people, Mr. Smith? No? Sorry, you got to go to the kiddie pool. You don't get into heaven. You got to go over here. You got to go and play with the kids, and you got to go learn how to share. You have to learn how to be compassionate. You have to learn how to be kind and not stingy and greedy. Mr. Smith, wake up. Oh, you thought because you paid so much into the church that you had a sure ticket into heaven, right? Is that right, Mr. Smith? That's what it says down here in remarks on the bottom of your application into heaven. Dear God, I should be allowed into heaven because I paid a lot of money to the church. Amen, Mr. Smith. I ask you again, Mr. Smith, how many poor people did you help? What about the family with the rental house that you said, well, I don't have time to fix up that rental house. Well, but the floor's rotted and the commode won't flush right because the plumbing's bad. It's a 60-year-old house and you're charging $1,000 a month for it. And these people are about, they're working their tails off trying to pay Mr. Smith, where's You were supposed to fill that in here on your application. You could you have helped those people you rented to? Oh, what? It wasn't good for your bottom line? Oh, you mean you were renting this house out to poor people to make money off of them when you already made $100,000 a year yourself? Oh, and that you've already have all your needs met, but you had to charge these people because you needed to make money off of your rental. You couldn't have rented to the poor people because you already had enough money. You couldn't have you couldn't have given them the house to live in for free. Mr. Smith, how many poor people did you help in your lifetime? How many, Mr. Smith? I'm listening. Come on. Well, what about the people that, what about your brother who lost his job and his wife divorced him and then he lost the house and he ended up living under a bridge? Did you help him? He's not your responsibility. What Bible have you been reading, Mr. Smith? Now, it says here on your application into heaven, that what about you checked it off? Oh, because you went to church. Oh, because you tied to the, so you thought that covered all your bases, right, Mr. Smith? Well, your application into heaven is fucking denied. How's that, Mr. Smith? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm St. Peter. I'm not supposed to say the word fuck. Sorry. Kiddie section. You got to learn. You got to grow up. You got to learn how to be the parent in the room. I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent here. But people are thinking that, I'm going to the pearly gates and I'm going to talk to St. Peter and I'm going to, yeah. Well, okay, if that's what you believe in, then Mr. Smith or Jones or whoever you are, wait till you get that fucking denied from St. Peter because your energy level is not the right frequency, because you haven't learned how to share, because you want all the marbles and all the other kids can screw off. Oh, Mr. Smith, I'm bleeding heart for you. I'm so sorry, but we gave you every opportunity for you to do the right thing. Now, you want to stand here at the gates of the pearly gates and you want to argue with St. Peter that because you went to church, all of your obligations were met. Really, Mr. Smith? You're still fucking denied. To be St. Peter for a day. I'm just saying, I would love to have a stamp that says fucking denied into heaven. Sorry, your application is denied, Mr. Smith or whatever. I know I'm playing the fool here, and I'm my actor self is coming out, the storyteller part. And yeah, but the thing is like, if we were to make a movie about this or a play or something and were to write a script and okay, you just landed at the pearly gates, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to go down this stuff. But the thing is that it has to do with what is the vibration of what you did. It's not how much money. You could be a millionaire, but you could give millions out every year. So it's not how much money you got in the bank when you die. It's not about that. It's how much you're willing to give of yourself and of what you have to help other people and other things. I mean, I don't have any money and I still help people. I know people that don't have any money, but they volunteer their time. There are ways to help people. And we don't. We're too selfish. We're too caught up. Well, I gave to the church. I still pray for these folks. And I don't say they're condemned to hell. I'm not even going to go there. But they're going to have to stay in the kiddie pool to learn how to share. So if these folks think that they've got their way paid into heaven, they're going to find out that they paid the devil. That's all there is to it. Angel guidance is with us 24/7. Source is always open. It's always there. The quantum is always there. Answers to the universe are always there. We need to ask. We need to meditate with our heart, not our brain. We need to focus on our heart, on the frequencies. What do I have to give? Mine is, I don't have any money, but I'm going to do YouTube videos, and I'm going to try to be the grown up in the room, and I'm going to put a bug in your ear because I'm going to say, hey, this is what reality is. Whether you believe in the pearly gates and St. Peter, but everything, is a frequency. So when you're not kind to someone, when you judge someone, regardless of knowing what their situation is, what if it were you? And as I help people in my younger life, I've become that old man. Now, I don't sit in front of the store and collect money, although maybe sometimes I should. It's to the point, though, that I looked at that person that I saw and said, I don't know what got them there. And I hope I never end up like them. And I almost did. In many ways, I am that old man or old homeless person sitting there. What do I have to give? Conversation. What do I have to give? Thoughts. What do I have to give? My love and prayers and honesty. Sometimes I'm way too honest. My love, honesty, compassion to other people, maybe a shortcut to how we can all fit in this thing, in this paradigm together. Give you a different point of view, a different way of thinking of something. If nothing else, you can tell me to go to hell and I'm full of shit, but at least it made you think. And that's okay. That's why I'm here. That's my contribution. Sorry about that. Oh my God, I got a nosebleed. Oh man. Well, anyway. So my daughter gave me a compliment last week and she said, Pop, she goes, I know I don't have time to listen all the time when you're on Facebook. She goes, I want to tell you something though. She said, I think what you're doing on Facebook, you are pouring your heart out. You are pouring your soul out to people. You are talking about God. You're talking about Christ. You're talking about the Bible. You're talking about spiritualism. You're talking about how we can all move together in this thing, how we can all help and all these other things. She goes, Pops, I think that is the most wonderful thing you could do. And I just bawled like a baby. I mean, it still brings tears to my eyes because I was like, if I touch one person, that's all I'm, it's not that I'm like happy, but if you can have an effect on one person's life, then my life is worth it. That's my mantra. And I find out that there are people who come there 6 now, there are other Marie and you folks, and I can't see through the tears. And the thing is like, that's my gift. I would give other stuff, but this is what I got now. It's what I have available. And so my daughter was like, Pops, I don't tell you enough that I love you. And I think you're leaving a legacy. This is what my daughter said. She goes, every time you get on Facebook, you leave a part of yourself. You leave a part of your soul, and you bare your soul for all to see, to make judgment on to what? She goes, and Pops, I love you. From my daughter, Jackie. And then there are times that I wonder whether or not I make any difference in this world. Whether or not my conversation with you all make a bit of difference. And then I get the compliment of my life. Pops, you're leaving a legacy for people to learn and to listen and to possibly understand. This is my daughter speaking to me. She goes, Pops, what more could you do than to leave that kind of legacy for family, for friends, to people who don't even know you or never met you? You're leaving a legacy of truth and honesty and love. I'm a humble man. You all humble me. The angel messages and the guidance I get from Creator, it humbles me every single moment of my life. And when I stop and think about it, then I start crying and getting all weepy and all this other kind of stuff. And I know that this love is in my heart. It's coming down through me. Yeah, some of it gets filtered in my head, But I let it go to my heart first, and then I think about it. And usually when the message comes to my heart, it goes to my brain, and I try to figure out how I can make whatever's in my heart become a reality. That's what my thinking is now. It's not whether or not it's right or wrong to do. It's how to do it, how to do it effectively, how to speak properly, how to pick a subject and stay on topic and not bitch about rich people all the time, but how we can give of each other, of our hearts to one another, because that's what's making a difference right now. My tears are tears of joy, not sadness. I'm so humbled and proud to be here, to be able to speak, because a couple of years ago I couldn't even speak. I lost my voice, I lost my brain. And through meditation and prayer to the Creator, not to a religion or to a deity, straight to the source, I've been receiving healing, and I've been given the insight and the gift to be able to speak with folk. We all have gifts to give. Some are greater than others. But what's to say, and I'm not picking on myself, but what's to say my legacy of Facebook interviews or whatever, or these YouTube videos? I'm not getting any money off. I don't want any money off of YouTube ads. But to the point, though, so my motivation is for you all, not for me. For me, they're telling me you got to speak. So I'm trying to appease the spirits and get them off my ass. But to the point, I understand that it's important. And I understand that all of us, every single one of us are going through hard times right now. And there's so many people that could ease this tension for all of us. And they don't give a shit. But they're going to heaven in a little rowboat, by the way. Clap, clap. It's an old song from the late 50s or early 60s. So, it isn't about money. But it does have to do with, do we have more than what we need? Can we share? Can we share our feelings? Can we share our love? Can we share our compassion? Can we just be honest with one another, without having an argument or cussing each other? Can we just be polite during the damn day instead of cussing one another or sending out nasty crap? We have a lot to offer, every single one of us. It ain't $1 million. It's a kind thought from here, not from up here. If you're thinking in your heart and you got to overthink it up here all the time and blah, 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 it ain't in your heart. It's not coming from your heart. You've overthought it. Now, I bring things in. Yeah, I toss it around because I want to find out the correct way to explain it or have the conversation. It's not about, well, blah, 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 blah. No. So I think about it in that, how do I express this? How do I speak the truth so other folks will hear it? So yeah, it goes through my brain, but it's in my heart first. Mother Mary put this message here, and I got to use my brain to be able to verbalize it. I get a spirit message over here about this. It comes into my heart. Then I use my brain to try to articulate and get that message out. A year and a half ago, it came through the brain first and then went to my heart. I had to think about it first. And in this last year, at least, I have understood. I think of things through the heart first, and then it goes to my brain. But there are a lot of times, because of how we're trained in this society, it comes through our brain first. And then when I started getting and being honest with myself, and when I started doing these YouTube videos and having angel messages coming in so loud and clear, it's like, okay, y'all calm down a minute here. I'll get to you in a second. They're arguing with me right now, kind of thing. In that it went to my heart, and I felt it in my heart, but I was overthinking it first before I would let it into my heart, because my heart had been damaged by all the people who I've trusted and then, then shafted me. And I've had my heart broken so many times, I wouldn't let it into my heart. And then Jesus came in and had a little conversation with me and said, Dave, doesn't matter how many times your heart gets broken. It's up to you to allow it to be broken. Can you be disappointed in people? Yeah. And then Jesus looked at me and he said, now think about how many times a day I get my heart broken. Think about it. People who say they're Christians, who are greedy and have $1 million houses, that ain't what he taught. But, I'm walking with the Lord, and I got my, $200 gold printed Bible, and I got my, Jesus looked at me and said, I get my heart broken 1,000,000 times a second. Or was it a minute? A mere pittance. Dave, you let somebody into your house and they stole your silver and they stole your this and they, took advantage of the situation. They broke your heart, didn't they? Yes, sir. Jesus looked at me and he said, Dave, Hawkeye, my friend, my heart is being broken every single minute. Think about how I feel. And then I went, oh my God. I'm bitching because some asshole person that thought that they could steal from a poor person because I gave them a place to live for a week or two, or, that they had the right to steal from me. And my heart was broken because I put myself out there. And Jesus looked at me and he said, my heart's out there for 2,000 years. It's being broken all the time by people who claim to love me, by people who claim to be of Christ consciousness, of people who claim my name as in Christian, and who are the worst of the worst on the planet because they're hiding the evil that they do. Could they feed somebody? Yeah, they could feed 100 people. Do they? No. Do they give to their mega church? Yeah, so they can write it off. Okay, my application into heaven. I paid it all into the church. That's my home free pass. Jesus told me, sorry, Dave. You shouldn't worry because me, Dave, my heart was broken. Think of the pain and the turmoil I, as Jesus, go through every second of every minute of every day of every hour of for millennium. How many people have spoken my name and did the opposite? How many people have claimed Christ consciousness and ignore, for whatever reason, the homeless person on the street or whatever? How many people are currently using my name in vain? Do not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. One of the 10 commandments, depending on which book you look at. So if you're claiming to be a Christian and you don't follow the rules and you're not acting Christ-like, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you're a blasphemer, and you expect Jesus to meet you at the pearly gates and welcome your butt in and go, oh yeah, come on in. You gave to the church. Yeah, the church that I hated and, cussed out the Pharisees. That church. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're going into heaven 0.01. I mean, this is like Windows 3.0. Okay. You get to go to the old computer. You don't get nah. You don't even get to get in the kiddie pool. There's a mud puddle over there. You go play in the mud puddle for a while till you learn how to share. Catholics call it purgatory. And I got to admit, I didn't think that there was like a purgatory, but now I kind of think there is. Because if you're of a lower vibration, you can't get to the next level. You just can't. It's physically impossible. So there must be a purgatory of sorts of folks who've got to go play in the mud puddle or in the kiddie pool to learn how to act like a grown-up in the real world of the universe. Of the universe. So in my conversation with the angels, and when Jesus sat in front of me and said, Dave, you think you got problems. Just think of what I'm still going through. And my problems were like, I don't have any problems. I have things I can bitch about. They haven't nailed me to a cross yet, but just saying. I have been through a lot of pain, and they have operated on me and separated many of my body parts, rearranged me several times and so forth, and used me as a lab experiment, and I glow in the frickin' dark. That's okay. But they haven't nailed me to a cross yet. But then again, I don't call myself a Christian because I think that word is tainted because of what I just explained. If you're a Christian, sit down, pretend Jesus is sitting across from you. Just, read some of what the Bible says, what he said or is claimed to have said. Just stick with that. And you're going to realize if you're thinking with the heart, if you're listening to the guidance of the angels and of the universe, if you're listening with your true heart, you'll get, oh my God, even the poorest of us can have some improvement. Even the poorest of us and the meekest of us have lessons to learn. Now, are they greater or worse than the next guy? If everybody's poor, but one guy's stronger than the rest, he's going to be the group leader. He's going to pick on the other ones. He's going to get the weakest one and steal the extra bit of food because he can. Doesn't matter. It's about power. It's about control. So, but if everybody was of equal mind, we're going to take turns being the boss. I'm the boss this week. You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. We all get a chance. Versus we're going to pick one guy who's going to do it for the next 20 years. That's just stupid. Nobody learns anything. And one person gets comfortable and everybody else does the work. I think that we should all become president, or we should all become the mayor, or we should all become the city councilman or the county commissioner or whatever. We should all have a turn at it. If you've already been it, you don't get to go. You've already done it. Get out. You served 4 terms, too long, out. Let somebody else in there. Why? Because you haven't done anything, number one. Number two, is somebody else's turn. Well, I get to be the leader. I mean, we've got people here at Colquitt County who've been county commissioners for 20 years, and it's like, and they've done no good for this county. They've raised the taxes on us poor folk. I mean, it's like, but the rich folks, there are more votes, and the poor folks who don't know any better, well, all the rich folks are voting for Henderson over here. I should vote for him too. No, he's been cheating us. But nobody wants to listen to me because I'm that crazy hippie down in the woods who got busted with helicopters for growing pot in a 5-gallon bucket. Okay, that's the guy. That's my reputation. We're all going to heaven. Some of us are going to take longer. Some of us are going to go, we're going to go skipping in because we're going to have the basics down. We're going to understand these things need to come from our heart and not overthink them. So I think I've bared my soul a little bit more. I'm honest about what I'm talking about here. And I'm praying for these folk. I'm praying so hard. And I got a couple of people's names in mind, but I ain't going to say them. You wouldn't know them anyway, but that's not the point. I'm sending these prayers out to these people that they will open up their hearts. That's all. Open up the hearts to the true the true creator, to the true source, to the angels. Listen to them. They're singing all the time now lately. And the more of us are waking up, it's getting a little louder. Other people kind of picking it up on the fringes. And other people that I've noticed who I didn't think had a chance in hell, these last 6 months have improved. They're actually thinking now. And I'm going, yay! Maybe I had a little bit to do with it. Maybe I just, popped a thought in there that made him stop and think, some bitch, I hadn't ever thought of it that way. I'm the adult in the room. I'm the guy that's going to bring up the subject maybe somebody else doesn't want to think about. Or a topic of discussion is like, well, I don't know, that's a little too... Hang on, folks. We got to understand this. We got to understand it in ways that we got to talk common. Yeah, that fucking rejected into heaven. Yep, I love it. Yeah. I'm sorry, made myself laugh there. But I could just see St. Peter up there with a great big, fucking denied stamp. Kaboom. Next. Sorry. I get these visions in my head of things, that kind of tickle me. But to the same point, though, with the angel guidance, the things that I do and other folks too, and you folks, a lot of you folks, and I don't know you personally in the chat room and so forth, we have discussions and you are so pleasant to hang out with me during all this. But it's like, so, I'm not passing any judgment on you guys, but you can look around in your own world and you can see folks and just know it's like, you know what? They don't get it. And it's not that you're better than them. I'm not better than you or the next guy or the rich guy. I'm just more aware. That's all. Am I better than? Absolutely not. Am I trying to use my God-given talents and things? Yeah, to the best of my ability under the circumstances. But to the point, it boils down to frequency. Helping others increases your vibrations. Doing other things and being of, I can't think of the word right now, but basically it's giving of self without expecting anything in return, And it's like every time I've done it, every time I come away with this just warm fuzzy that won't go away. Even though I was cheated and they stole my silver and I still had the warm fuzzy, this person could have died in the cold that night. It was cold for 3 nights in the lower 20s, which is not common down here in the South. And they were on the street. They could have died of pneumonia. It was raining and it was... Do I feel bad that I invited them in my house? No. I'm sad that they had to steal from me. But I'm also sad because they felt like they had no choice. They didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They had no job. They were trying. They did. And so they felt like they had to steal from even a poor person. And I forgive them. It's hard. I lost a good deal of silver in that mess, I'll tell you. But to the point, we all have something to give. Rich or poor, we all have something to give. Do we give it freely? Can we have a conversation with Jesus? Forget St. Peter. I mean, let's just have a conversation with Jesus. Can you do what he did? Well, I'm practicing walking on water. Just saying. I haven't got there yet. I can tread easily on mud, but I haven't been able to walk across the water thing before. Although I have, kept myself from drowning in ways I ain't got a clue. That was spiritual in itself. But to the point, though, it's like I understand that there are spiritual things that have kept me safe in some nasty situations out in the wilderness that could have really been bad. But I'm still here. And I know this protection didn't come from anyone or anything. It came from the universe. It came from the spirits. It came from Creator. It was the angels that came to my aid that 3 days on the river. Yes, they exist. We need to let that into our heart. We need to understand that these angelic beings, these angels, will guide us. There are more angels here now on the earth, around the earth, because of this transition we're going through. Call them space aliens. Call them our ET brothers and sisters, ISBs, whatever you want, angels. Some of them are angel beings. In other words, they are of this other dimension and are ghostly in their appearance to us. There are ETs out there that are angel beings that are giving us information and trying to help planet Earth to make this ascension and this transition. They're here. They want to help us out of this mess. Please allow yourself to hear it. Now, I know you folks in the chat room here, you get it for most of it. You know, okay, we can tit-tat for this or that, or how you might explain it versus me, but it does mean the same thing. We understand that this comes from our heart and from our soul. We all understand how important it is, because you wouldn't be sitting here listening with me right now. This is a prayer. This is communication right now. I'm sharing with you all. I'm getting my downloads and I'm pushing this energy to you. We are all loved by Creator. I'll mention Big John's name. He's my step grandson. I haven't spoke about John in a while, and he sent me a Facebook message today telling me that he missed me. He's going to school and he's working and he's becoming an EMT. He wants to be a nurse and all this. A wonderful man. He saved my life. He stayed here. Instead of spending the year he graduated from high school with his friends, he stayed here with Pops and took care of me for 3 months until I got back on my feet again. And then he went back to school, got a job, did this. And I haven't seen him much since, but he's married and you know, and he's got a life. But he still thinks about me. So this is what he said today in his Facebook post. He goes, you know, you Christians out there, you talk a good line and you speak a good line and you donate money to your church. And this is Big John talking. I call him Big John because he's 6'2" and 260. And he's a little chubby, but he's a big giant man. And I love him to death. And he still loves me and cares for me and thinks about me. And when I read his post, I was like, oh my God, Big John. I mean, we haven't had a conversation in a while, but he listens to my videos during his travels back and forth on his phone. And he'll, you know, put up, you know, and he doesn't have time to make a comment, but he'll send a note once every 2 or 3 months ago. I've been listening to you, Pops, and I still love you. And what you're saying is good. And I understand it. But people are looking at other folks and going, wait a minute. You're trying to convince me that if I go to church and I pay my tithe, that I'm good to go to heaven. And these folks are going, I'm sorry, but I see through your lies. What? So these are folks that are in their 20s, not in their 60s, who are opening their eyes to the realization that spirituality can be achieved all the time without religion. And that's what Big John said. And he's like 25 maybe. And he's telling all of his peers and his elders, because all of his grannies and aunts and uncles, you know, they all go to these churches and they all have this idea that, well, I give to the church and to hell with poor people. Now, they're not exactly like that, but mostly. You know, they wouldn't help a Mexican out or a black person. Oh, forget it. They might help a cousin or a relative or maybe a neighbor, but mostly they stick to themselves, you know, and they're possessive with everything. And I taught Big John different. I'm not even his real grandfather. I'm his step-grandfather at best. But I am one of his best friends. He is one of my best friends. And I love him to death. And he is seeing through the veil. Him and other folks his age. They're trying to convince him. What, John, you know, oh, you can't be spiritual without religion. And John's going, hang on, folks. I've been spiritual long before you've shoved a Bible in my nose. He knows. He took care of me for 3 months. without asking for anything of me, from me, except to be his Pops. I am so blessed. I am so blessed and humbled because I've had the Big John today. My daughter, Pops, are leaving this legacy. I can't believe what the things that you talk about sometimes. I'm leaving a part of my soul. I'm giving of myself because it's the right thing to do. Do I want to get to heaven? Yeah. But I could not do these videos. I could not do all this sharing. I could not cry on a YouTube video and pour out my heart and my feelings. Yeah, I could do it different. I could record something and retape it and then upload it instead of doing it live. Not what I'm supposed to do. And other people are having the same realization. There's something else to this. Hang on. Do I hear the angels? Some bitch I can. Oh my God. Pops, you told me that if I listened and relaxed and was calm and allowed it, that I could hear Mother Mary, that I could hear Jesus, that I could hear the angels speak to me and guide me. Pop says, you're absolutely right. Meaning me. You can. You have to believe. Do you believe, Big John? I do, Pops. Because I see you. This is what he told me. He said, I see you. And I see that you believe. And this is John talking to me. He goes, Pops, I love you so much. And I can feel your love for me coming from you. And I can feel the angels coming through you. Man, I can't, as a human being, one to another, what the hell else could I ask for but to leave a legacy of love, of compassion, of bearing my soul to all of y'all. And it's open for discussion because I do love you. And I do wish that we will all, and we're making a difference. I can see the change. I can smell the change. I see it in these chat rooms where some of these folks a year ago were just babbling off mind-boggling crap that made no sense. And now they're making sense. They're talking about things that are important. They're talking about spirituality. And a year ago, I said, we ain't got a chance in hell. This shit ain't never going to work. And then I had that Mother Mary. And she said, oh, ye of little faith, Dave. And I raised my hand and said, you're right. I didn't have enough faith to get on there. Nobody will listen to me. Nobody will listen to what I got to say. Nobody will know that Mother Mary appeared to me right over there in my house in front of me and gave me these messages. How many people are going to believe this shit? She looked at me and said, it doesn't matter. For those who need to hear, their ears will be open. For those who need to see, their souls and their hearts will be open. For those who need to understand, the thoughts will make sense and will come to them in their dreams and make even more sense. Can one person change the world? I think so. Because we're talking to you folks talk to other folks. We as one are making a difference on this planet. Like I said, 6 months ago, I was like, I don't know about this. I got a really good feeling about this. A lot more folk got to wake up. But there is a lot more folk that have already awakened. And I mean, like, hang on, wait a minute. I've been going to this church all this time, and you mean to tell me you don't give anything to the poor? And here, this was a conversation I had with a lady. She goes, I've been going to the same church for 40 years. And then I come to find out that they don't give any money to the poor. Well, they have this program, and they do this, and they donate a little bit of food. But we bring the food in. The church doesn't do. Oh, my God, they don't do anything for the poor. And I said, so do you still go to that church? She goes, no. I realized that God is in my Bible. This is what she told me. She said, God's in my Bible. And I read what Jesus said. I hear him in my heart. And when I go to church, this is what she told me. She said, I never hear Jesus in my heart. And I was like, what? You go to church every Sunday on Wednesdays, and you go to prayer meeting. She goes, yeah, but I don't hear Jesus in church. I sing and I feel overwhelmed with the people that are, she says, but I don't hear Jesus. But when I'm at home and I'm praying and I'm in my quiet space, and this is a lady over 55-ish, I don't know how old, but over 55, easy. She said, but I can hear Jesus speak to me when I'm in quiet prayer and reading the Gospels of Matthew and Mark and Luke and John. I hear Jesus in my heart. And when I go to church, I don't hear him. So I realized I've given all this money to a church that I can't even hear Jesus speak in. And I only hear Jesus when I'm at home and in prayer, and not necessarily solitude, but, quiet in the evenings, and sitting in bed, reading your Bible, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I hear Jesus speak in my heart. She goes, I can't do religion anymore. I'm not giving anymore to the church. So she helps out with the homeless. She's done like clothing drives for people whose houses get burned or whatever, or, and I mean, and she doesn't have a lot. It's not about money, but she gives because she's got plenty of time and she's bored. But she doesn't hear Jesus in church. And there are so many people that are getting it. Jesus isn't in the church. We probably already know that. Does Jesus exist? In my heart, he does. In the universe, the Christ consciousness is very real on many worlds throughout the galaxy. It is the common goal. Do no harm to anything. Christ consciousness without religion. It's in each one of us. So you all, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I want something to eat. I haven't anything to eat today so far. Well, yes, I did. I did have a sandwich earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. I did have something to eat, but it's getting late for me. It's 10 o'clock. I think somebody else is on. Milky Way might be on. Somebody else. I'm cutting into somebody else's time. I'm sorry, but time is time. But anyway, I know there are other people out there and other shows that are doing live. So I will end this now with my follow prayer. To all of you, I ask blessings, knowledge, healing for each one of you. I ask that each one of you, that all of us will accept and receive the blessings of the universe, that will accept the healings from the universe, that we all will accept the knowledge from the universe, and that we all will open our hearts and listen for the guidance from the angels. I pray this to all of you. Much love. Thank you for letting me bawl on the air again. I'm sorry I get that way, but my emotions are so packed full. And this last day or so, there seems to be a little crying in the universe or something. And so, but anyway, I love you. Thank you. Be safe this weekend. And until next time, I'm always praying for you all. Keep praying for each other. And I know you send good thoughts and prayers to me, and I love you for it. I'm so humbled by all of you, and I do mean that. Thank you. Don't ever give up. Bye for now. Marie, Ice Station, Zed, and all the other folks, much love to you all. Until next